Hello everybody, this is John Johnston of Corcoran. We're continuing with our 2021 Nebraska football spring previews, and this time we're going over one of Husker fans' greatest loves, the offensive line position group. First of all, let's go over who's gone. We got the Farniok brothers are gone. Matt Farniok is off to the NFL. I wish him the best of luck, because anytime you're trying to go to the NFL, man, it's got to be difficult, and yeah, why not get paid? Yeah, Will Farniok transferred to Tulsa, which was kind of interesting. I don't know, maybe he didn't like the future that was coming. I have no idea why the guy left the team, but with them leaving the team, I love their hair. You know, I have a really nice picture of both of them together, and they had great hair. I'm a hair guy. I don't even look at the uniforms as much as I look at guys' hair. Is that kind of weird? Does that strike you as weird? Look at mine. Let's not go there. Brendan James, probably Nebraska's best offensive lineman for last year, opted out of the 1+ weekend of death game last year against Rutgers, and he's off to the NFL and should get drafted, and I wish him the best of luck too. Bo Wilson transferred to Western Kentucky. That one was kind of odd, because you looked at Bo Wilson as a guy that probably could have taken over one of the starting positions for this year, but he's gone. Our projected starters, my projected starters. Maybe I have a turd in my pocket and it's ours. Left tackle, Turner Corcoran. Left guard, Ethan Piper. Center, Cam Jurgens. Right guard, Trent Hixson or Broc Bando. Giving myself the out there with the or. Right tackle, Bryce Benhart. I mean, let's face it, this is kind of our starting line from really last year in the Rutgers game, when we really kicked ass, racked up over 600 yards of offense. And I know that you're going to go, well, it's against Rutgers. You know, they haven't been really doing that to anybody in recent years, so it was nice to see them beat the holy hell out of Rutgers, a team that was more competitive than most people thought they would be last year, first year under Greg Schiano. But you know, I know the hopes that we all have for this position group is that that's the kind of thing we're going to see in the year to come. You know, because in 2021, well, let's go through this. First of all, it's odd. We don't have any seniors on the roster on the offensive line. We only have 3 juniors, 3 sophomores, and 18 of our 24 guys listed on the roster are freshmen or redshirt freshmen. That's a lot of youth. I mean, like crap tons of youth. And when you look at it, though, I mean, let's look at Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens is a sophomore, and yet he's started 19 games, and he's been around for like 4 years. So the youth part isn't as bad, or it isn't as, well, it isn't as bad as it looks like at first glance, because of all this extra year eligibility thing. So you got Jurgens with 19 games started. Yes, I'm going off notes because my memory is a piece of crap. You got Trent Hixson, 12 starts. Benhart started every game last season. Ethan Piper started at the last 7 games at right guard last season. And you've got Turner Corcoran, who started against Rutgers. So you do have some starting experience, and you do have a line that, even though they're young, they don't have as much experience as like Brendan James. But you know what it is? It's a place, it's a foundation on which to build. Now, the key to this is, I think, the center position, obviously, Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens was converted from a tight end to a center because Scott Frost and the coaching staff decided that that guy could be an all-Big Ten center, and if he's an all-Big Ten center, go to the NFL as an offensive lineman rather than tight end. We watched Cam Jurgens go through snap issues for many of those 19 games, and it's been really disappointing. I mean, that's a nice word to say in this case, but when you can't snap the ball, the rest of your offense is screwed because the timing's off. And Adrian Martinez, I think, has done actually a very good job of trying to keep the shit together and the offense going down the field, even though they really haven't looked good at times. We haven't seen the snap issues since the Iowa game last year. The whole clapping controversy with one of the coaches was clapping on the sideline and was throwing off our... if that's fucking up your life, a guy clapping over in the sideline, you really need to come up with something. Either that or stop making excuses. And that's honestly what we need to see out of this offensive line in 2021. We need to see an offensive line that starts out this season playing well together, obvious, but cutting down on the stupid things like false starts. I can understand holding calls, because if you can't block a guy, you should be holding him sometimes, especially if it's a critical play on which he's going to get by and get to your quarterback and cause a sack and a fumble. And we saw that a couple times last season. I'm going to repeat that until it doesn't fucking happen. But we want to see, what we want to see, number one, is we're going to have to obviously develop some depth, because I think Cam Jurgens is a key here. He's the old man at it, being a sophomore in this position group, and he's going to be expected to be a leader. That's a tall order for a guy who's got a lot of eligibility left. But you're going to need a leader, because at times, and this is again, it's something I've said over and over, this team over the last few years has looked like an emotionally weak team, especially on offense. The defense seems like they're getting their shit together. On the offense, it seems like bad things happen and bad things just start to multiply. And you really need a guy with experience that's going to come into the huddle, if they huddle, or come off the sideline and say, you know what just happened out there? Forget about it. You can't do anything about the past. Let's focus on the next series. Let's focus on the next plays. And let's get better. And you need a guy that's going to pull your guys together and keep going and forget about the bad things that happened. We're also, obviously, I mentioned depth. We're going to have, if Cam Jurgens goes down, if Cam Jurgens gets injured, who is going to replace Cam Jurgens? And that's a big key to this season. When we talk about the quarterback position and how there's not many on the roster, and Adrian Martinez is the only guy that's thrown and completed a pass, what about Cam Jurgens? Who's the other guy on this roster that's snapped the ball in a live game situation? I mean, in college, at our college. That's a big position to keep. That's a guy that we want to keep healthy no matter what. I believe it's Trent Hixson, who's the guy who has shown more versatility on the offensive line and could replace him, but boy, you don't want to see that happen. We have, I mentioned 18 of our 24 offensive linemen being freshmen or redshirt freshmen, a lot of youth. We do have Ezra Miller is an interesting guy. He's a walk-on. He started his career at Iowa and then saw the error of his ways and came from the dark side to the bright light and the goodness of Nebraska football. And maybe he'll get to contribute this year. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. Nuruddin Newili. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Probably not, because I tend to butcher names. That's the guy that grew up in Germany, hasn't played a whole lot of football, but he did play as a true freshman at Colorado State. He's a transfer sophomore. That guy could, depth. Maybe he could earn a starting position. We have some. What do we have for newcomers? Well, you know what? I'm not a newcomer guy. Not on the offensive line. You always hear about these guys. Well, this guy's coming out of high school and he's some kind of phenom. Well, everybody coming out of high school is a phenom when you're coming into Division I football to a certain extent. you really need to get these guys ready for a year with strength and conditioning, and get them into the program, and honestly get them accustomed to getting the shit beat out of them by other guys that are their same size. You know, have them work on their feet. Yeah, I know that we pay attention to a guy's size a lot, right? But the key to a good Division I lineman versus, say, let's say a Division II lineman or a not very good Division I lineman is their feet. Go back and, I know this is an offensive line, but go back and look at Ndamukong Suh. Why was that guy such a terror? Well, number one, he was strong as, I don't know, 4 cars pulling something together. That was a terrible analogy. He was stronger than like 100 guys. But the other thing that was exceptional about him was he could move his feet so quick. He ran down how many guys that were skill position players and crushed them into the ground. You'd like to see that from your offensive line this year, wouldn't you? Kind of like road grading stuff. Remember years ago? Oh my God, I'm going into the past. Okay, fine. Remember when we played Tennessee in those bowl games? We just beat the shit out of them when our offensive line looked like robots with their execution. It'd be nice to see some of that again, wouldn't it? I mean, I don't care if it's against Rutgers or southeastern Louisiana. Just show us that you could do that shit. That'd be great without getting holding calls. Other guys that could contribute this season. You got Brant Banks, Michael Lynn, and Jimmy Fritchie have been in the program for over a year. It's time for them to get in there. Banks played in a few games last season. Lynn and Fritchie did not. Well, time to get that changed. Hopefully we're going to have a full season and they're going to get more chances to get on the field. What do we think about our offensive line? Well, like the rest of the offense, with the exception of Adrian Martinez and maybe a couple other guys, again, it's very young. But the good news with that is that this is a foundation to build on. And given the youth of this line, what you really want to see is not hearing any more of this fucking culture bullshit. Where, that's what we heard again this offseason, where it was Deontay Williams, safety on the defense, said that they wanted to play in the bowl game on the defense, and the offensive guys really didn't want to play on the bowl game. And he said, but that's part of the culture we need to get rid of. Okay, we need to stop fucking hearing the word culture. If we have a good year, a successful season might be we go to a bowl game, we never have to hear the fucking word culture again. But what you really like to see from the offensive line is that foundation come together. Lessen the penalties, lessen the mistakes. Don't ever have your coach say something like, well, we called the plays right and the execution wasn't there. Shit like that. Find some depth. Grade some roads. Pummel the fuck out of some other teams' defensive lines. That's kind of a summation of what you want out of your Nebraska offensive line going into this season. We haven't seen that for a while. It hasn't been consistent. This is a great time to build the foundation for an offense that, again, repeating this again, 40 points a game is what we're after. If we score 40, we're going to kick the shit out of everybody. And that includes Ohio State. Maybe not all the time, but you know what? We'll be winning the West and we will be competing for Big Ten titles. 2021 is the year that we start establishing the offensive line that's going to get us to do that. I have faith in that. Again, I'm the eternal optimist who's continually disappointed. I'd love to hear about some names on this offensive line that, I mean, they may be listed on the roster, but they show up as diamonds in the rough and kick some ass. I'm not holding out for that. I think we got a core that we can work on, and let's go from there. I hope you're all doing well. Probably should learn to edit more. Take care of yourselves, and go Big Red. And repeated false starts that kill drives, and then we can't score points, and then we lose the game.